everybody, welcome to Hose On Air. I'm your host Lucy. This is your host Sarah. It's another lovely week here at Hoville.
Welcome, Hose. Thanks for being with us today. Welcome.
Cheers. Welcome to the show.
Hose.
Cheers.
Sup, ho.
So what's going on in your world today?
Lord, I don't know where to begin, but I do have some friends who just recently were able to, there's just not a delicate way to put it. It was time to make the move for the parents to live in a retirement home. Which is, very emotional, but it got me into, that's what the catalyst was for me looking into these things. And this isn't even news, but it was to me. STDs are on a huge rise in these establishments. And it made me...
In senior living?
Yes. And it makes cool. It makes, how I get interested in these things. It makes me want to go and do an interview. Now, I'm sure I could find out more information on the Googles, but I find it fascinating that more seniors are getting laid than 30-year-olds.
Well, they're just trying to get it in before they go.
Well, yeah, and that dawned on me too, and that's why they don't really care about the scabies and the rabies and all of the idias and all of the germs and things that can go along with that. But so
does everybody get a pack of condoms along
as
with
part
their
of
pack
the welcome,
of vitamins?
With the welcome package, here's your Ensure and here's your Depends.
No, don't they pass out morning vitamins or pills that everybody has to take? Is there a condom attached to each one of those?
Well, I don't know, but I'm
thinking 3
thinking
times a day. Here you go.
Maybe they should have it in the lobby, like at Planned Parenthood or something.
Well, maybe.
I don't know.
We got a little feedback there, Aaron.
Ooh,
sorry, I'm ringing. Somebody's ringing.
Our producer has to take care of that. And is this on? All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Aaron. Anywho, the thing that interests me is more, are these people willing to talk about this? Because I wonder if it's is being really old kind of like being really drunk? That's a way that everybody can relate, I think. And what I mean by that is, you don't care anymore. There's a threshold in drunkenness where, I've seen people passed out in front of Vegas bathrooms. That's kind of reaching it. That's a criteria that I look for. We're all done here. And I wonder if when you're older, because these people are not drunk.
Yeah.
They're not boozing it up in the retirement homes, but they're getting it on. And I want to know.
They're high on endorphins.
I want to know if they'd be willing to talk about it, because many people can be staunch, but it's the kind of thing that I'd want to almost go and interview, and ask them, so is this better than when you were young? And if so, why? I want to know. I don't know why. Do you think that's just kind of, is that bizarre of me? Are you fascinated at all? But because
I find it highly amusing.
Well, yeah, but I also want to know how they have the energy, especially in the summertime.
It's all those drugs they're being given 3 times a day.
I thought that was supposed to relax them more and put them to sleep.
Well, don't they? Think about it. They give Viagra to the gentleman just for stamina and energy, not necessarily to get it up at that age, right? So they're already getting that fun side effect. And then
I'm to understand that that's how 4 or 5 hour excursions can occur. For that energy for certain things.
Sure, maybe, yeah.
But, where are these women getting all of this energy?
Well, same. They're being given hormones to sustain their energy levels and whatnot. Well, so you're dosing them up, and are they being regulated properly? Probably not, right? They're probably have an abundance of estrogen or progesterone or testosterone, whatever they're on. I'm just saying... Not to discredit the healthcare community and their ability to monitor our elderly in these places. We
wouldn't want to discredit the healthcare community.
But, some fun adult shows point out that there's even swinger retirement places. Where you can't even be a member and live there unless you are a swinger.
Really?
That's what I'm told.
I
don't have personal experience from this or anything, but...
the part that gets to me is that these people are having more fun than people old enough to be their children and even their grandchildren.
True, but think about it. They don't have to work, right? They don't have to hurry off to work. They don't have to get hyped up on caffeine and be up at the butt crack of dawn to deal with duties. They've paid their dues in society. They've worked their jobs. They're now on retirement income, so they only can do so much with that income. Now they're being taken care of in a facility. So what else is there to do?
Well, I wonder if any money exchanges hands.
It's like a sorority. It's
Kappa
like,
Kappa Trampa.
It's like being in college and you're in a sorority. Everything's paid for. Well, condoms are being handed out. Drugs are being handed out. I mean, think about it. It's pretty close to the same thing.
Well, and how do you decide whose room to go to? I guess it's whoever's room you can remember.
I'm pretty sure it's whatever one doesn't have a tie or a sock on the doorknob, because that one's busy.
Do that? And do they remember that they've done that? I don't know. I love the idea of the older we get, having more fun.
I like that idea.
And now that I know people in the community, I got a shoe in.
And they can't get pregnant.
Well, of course.
So
Yeah,
there's
there is that. But that one, that's a benefit.
And if
that
they
just goes
get an
without saying.
STD, they're already on the way out. So what do they care?
Well, yes. But what I want to know even more details about that. And I think I'm going to go, and I'm going to see if I'm going to go on a road trip.
If you're going to go on a road trip and talk to these people, I recommend you find a swingers place. They will be open to talking. I don't know about the regular places. They might be a little tight-lipped.
Well, that's more fun, isn't it?
Well, it could be, but then you might not be getting the proper information. Places that are retirement homes where they're also swingers are very open about the fact that they're swingers, and you might get a whole lot more insight on the mentality of those people, which probably translate to the other people as well. They're just not so loose-lipped about it.
Okay, well, I don't want to go through the trouble to do the whole thing and have them not say anything. I don't know. I figure you can just sort of bring something.
I feel like it's comparable to like talking to a gay person that's come out of the closet and accepted themselves, and a person who's in the closet and just is scared of the repercussions. Like, that's what I feel like is comparable in this situation. If you're going to interview the guy that's in the closet, you're not going to get a whole lot of information versus the people that have accepted themselves.
I suppose. And that's a whole nother topic. People that are well into their 90s or somewhere in that frame still not accepting themselves. You know, that feels...
It feels wrong, but at the same time, you can't change 90 years of training. Mm-hmm. Mental training.
Oh, listen, I am not here to change anyone, let alone 90 years of it. Please believe that. Yeah. But what would amuse me is to go there and just even talk with these. I think that older people are an untapped plethora of wisdom, and a lot of them,
as long as they haven't forgotten most of it.
Well, yeah. Well, a lot of it, they think that... I love it. I went to see my dad, and he thought that he had been at work all day. And I was
how old is your dad?
Well, he was at the time like 90.
Okay.
Yeah. So I go in, I'm like, Dad, what you been doing today? Because I just wanted to hear how his day was there. He's like, oh, well, I went to work with my brother. You know, I work with my brother. And it was really cool. It gave me a little window. It was like a snapshot of time in his mind, because obviously he had days like that. And he's like, you know, we came home and petted Skipper and gave him some ice cream. He was their Cocker Spaniel. And I thought, this is amazing. Then, of course, a few minutes later, he forgot who I was. My brother had to say to him, Dad, do you know who this is? And he's like, no, I can't say as I do, but I feel like I should, because you're a very attractive young lady. And I thought, oh, Dad, because you always see your parents with their dad hat, their parent hat. He had some game. I had never in my life.
They had just given him the Viagra.
Seen my dad flirt. Oh, you are sick. I do not think that they had. But I thought I never got to see him like that. And there's just all of these people there that would probably just love to talk. So I'm going to check into this. Do you want to come with me?
Let me
Really,
know when
else?
and where. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
It's not like I don't have stuff going on. Where I'm open. My schedule's wide open. Let's do something.
We'll do something sometime. In the meantime,
I feel like Florida would be a fun place to experiment with that.
Well, I don't want to go all the way to Florida. I don't know. That sounds like a lot of work.
No, Universal Studios is there. I could hit up Hogwarts.
Of course you would. Hey, do you like this line? I want to have lunch with you. What's your name?
No.
What don't you like about it?
All of it.
The reason I bring it up, this is a line that I saw a very old person use. And they just go right in. You know, we could be dead any day. That's true for everybody, really. I want to have lunch with you. What's your name? I thought it was nice, but I thought I might be over romanticizing it. What's wrong with
for
that?
For me, because for me, it's almost like, okay, my rebuttal to that question would be, first of all, I'd be caught off guard. And second of all, I'd be like, why?
For lunch.
Yeah, but why?
I don't understand the question.
Why do you want to have lunch with me?
Oh.
Like, what is it about me that made you walk over here and ask me to lunch and then ask me my name? Why wouldn't you come over here first and ask me my name and say, hey, I noticed you from across the room. What's your name? I'm so-and-so. Have a conversation and then invite me to lunch.
Okay. And I don't discredit that. Yet.
It's presumptuous, I guess.
Well,
a little arrogant, maybe.
I liked the confidence there. I see how it could. Here's what I liked about it. I liked that he just stated what he would like, which is a vulnerability in a way. I want to have lunch with you. That means she could totally shoot him down.
Yeah.
Okay. He put it out there. What's your name? So in other words, that invites her. If she's interested, she can give him her name. If she isn't, she can be like, my name is none of your business, and scram.
Yeah.
But I just liked that there was no beating around the bush about it.
Well, I like the no beating around the bush, but I feel like the approach is a little bit, if you don't know the person at all and you're asking their name after the fact, it's a little bit presumptuous and a little bit arrogant. And to me, that tells me that this is a line that this guy has worked on, and he just goes table to table and tries it on everybody until he gets a yes.
Yeah, but isn't that sort of the meat and potatoes of life? We go around, we try a little of this, and have you thought about that? And
no,
we wait
because I'm selective. So I feel like, you know, if you're authentically like interested in something serious, you're not just going around every table waiting for a yes and you're going through 50 no's. You're legitimately scanning the room and going, okay, that person might be of interest and that person might be of interest, and I might want to have a conversation with each to see if they're actually anything I would want to be around.
Well, fair enough.
I don't know. That's just me.
I see what you're saying. I mean, it could go either way. I guess it ultimately depends on the mood that the person being approached is in.
How is it any different than a guy walking up to you and going, hey, let's go have sex in the bathroom and then tell me your name?
Well, because in
he's
my
going
world,
after exactly what he wants.
well, in my world, lunch is a little less elaborate than all of the sex.
Is it though? Is it though?
If I want to have the lunch.
In our generation, right, when a guy takes you to lunch or dinner and he's paying for it, what's expected?
Okay. in some people's worlds, but you know, and that's a completely different topic. Why is that expected? I've never been part of that assumption, and no, I don't think it has to be that way.
If a guy takes you, or a girl, if your date takes you on a date for the first time, second time, whatever, and they have the energy to not only go on this date, ask you out, but now they're paying for an entire meal and food and everything else. You know, there are women that go out with people just for the sake of a free meal. They have no intention of doing anything past that point. So if this person is investing the time and the money to take this other person out to lunch or dinner, there is an expectation, whether that expectation is, I'm hoping to have a good conversation, maybe go on a second date, or the expectation is, I'm paying for your food, you're going to provide me with the service.
Yeah. If these things are really as prominent as you are saying that they are, and I'm not arguing with you there, I've just never been a part of them, but I think that people should have some sort of dating site made where you can't do that. Like it's stated before you go in there. And then I was thinking too,
what do you mean? Okay,
well, like a dating site that if you're going to be on here and you're going to pick from any of the people that have gone here, you don't get to just move. Everybody goes Dutch. Everybody. So you pay for your own shit. So nobody's obligated. This is why a lot of women want to pay for their own shit.
So definitely not
too.
Tinder.
And then I was thinking, wouldn't it be fun to have speed dating? And I was watching this show about it. I mean, these people were failing miserably. How is it that people get through life without knowing how to participate in a conversation? It is stupefying.
Because
to
we
me.
live in our phones.
Well, no, these people are old enough that that wouldn't be the case,
Okay.
40s and above. So this isn't a bunch of 20-year-olds. Now, I was thinking, wouldn't it be great for them to just sort of have a third wheel going from table to table? Somebody sort of scoping out whoever's really miserably sucking, and like a couple just literally sitting there, like they haven't even gotten past high, and someone just plops in on them. So, I noticed you guys weren't talking. What's the matter? And then you fill up their cocktail again. I don't know. I could do this though. Like
I could see you doing that.
Oh my God. I feel like I should go and comb restaurants because people are meeting for the first time. If I had the energy, that is something that I could see myself doing. I thought it would be fun, and I'm surprised that
Maybe
there hasn't
you need
been.
to take a Viagra.
Oh God. Oh God.
Does that work
Okay.
on women? I don't even know.
I don't even know what it would do to us. You want to try it, Luce? I dare you.
I really don't. No.
I dare you. I do.
I have enough problems with my hormones. I don't need to add to that issue.
Well, I would now like to talk about, I don't think I ever had you watch it. There's a movie entitled Grey Gardens. Are you familiar?
No.
Okay. It is with Edie Jr. and Edie Sr. They are mother and daughter, and they are from the Camelot situation, and they had this big mansion in Cape Cod-ish kind of an area, and divorce was very frowned upon when Senior Edie got one, and then they were just cut off from family funds. Now, these are the actual first cousins, I believe, of Jackie Bouvier Kennedy. So there was money. There was money to be had. Anyway,
Or money to be lost in this case.
or not, kept up with. So the mansion starts to fall into disrepair, and the public starts to take notice. And a documentary was made back in 1975 called Grey Gardens. And it was just filming the eccentric lives of this mother and daughter who chose to still be together. And we are talking, it was more than just a little disrepair. This place, the brush was growing everywhere. Like it would not have been in an HOA. They should have had an HOA.
HOA.
But they didn't. So they didn't keep it up. Feral cats everywhere, holes in the roof. They would go and give entire loaves of Wonder Bread to raccoons in the
It
ceiling.
would be a COA.
Oh, what does C mean?
Castle Association.
Oh, are you serious?
You have Homeowners Association, HOA, Castle Owners Association, COA.
Is that really a thing?
No.
Okay.
But if it were, that's what it would be.
Well, this is a dilapidated castle.
I grew up in the land of castles. Everybody had a castle.
Well, here they're not as, and I've never even been to this part of the country, but my point is they were very eccentric. And these documentarians, discovered them. And Drew Barrymore and Jessica Lange redid the movie. And they did a very good job. They studied these women to a T. Now, the point that I wanted to make up is that they created their lives, even though they were total recluses, and the public would come and knock on their door. Are you going to fix this? Just sit downwind from you is horrible. You got to clean up all this cat poop and blah, blah, blah. And they wanted nothing to do with any of it. And they still enjoyed themselves. And I would like to read here a quote, because there are people that don't even enjoy their lives this much. And I admire these women for doing this. Now I have to make it so I can read it, though. Hang on.
You need your glasses?
I do, and I have them, but I'm going to try to. All right, so they were getting ready for the documentarians to come, okay, and they wanted to kind of dress up. So Edie Jr. had an alopecia problem, so she would always wear some sort of a towel around her head with a pin on it to try and cover this up. And she considered
like the silk towels, right? Like the
well, not always, and sometimes it was a sweater.
Kind of the 20s look.
Kind of, but she would just sort of grab whatever they had around, and that's what made her so fun. And then with her elaborate sense of style, she says to the documentary guy, she says, "This is the best thing to wear for today, you understand. Because I don't like women in skirts, and the best thing is to wear pantyhose or some pants under a short skirt, I think. Then you have the pants under the skirt, and then you can pull the stockings up over the pants underneath the skirt. And you can always take off the skirt and use it as a cape. So I think this is the best costume for today."
I was trying to visualize the shorts with the pantyhose over the shorts. but under the skirt.
Because she doesn't like skirts.
But then you take the skirt off and use it as a cape, but now your pantyhose are over your shorts, not under your shorts. That's a weird look. I'm sorry.
But my favorite line was, and then you can always use the skirt as a cape. I mean, and I think that maybe you have to see it to understand. These women just picked at each other all day, and they used to be very rich. They had this huge oil painting, of Edie senior Edie when she was young, and it was the kind that, oh gosh, it was as big as you and me put here, and it was sitting on the floor in their mansion, and then little Edie says, the cat's going to the bathroom right in back of my portrait. Oh, actually, Jesus. Big Edie said that, and then little Edie says, oh God, isn't that awful? And then Edie Senior says, no, I'm glad he is. I'm glad somebody's doing something he wanted to do.
Oh.
So,
okay.
I've just never seen before, those are just two of my favorite quotes. It's a very interesting movie because they were still happy in their own way. I mean, literally, this place was falling down around them, and they just squawked at each other all day long. They would plan parties. They fancied themselves elegant entertainers, And I thought, if people like this are enjoying themselves, what's the matter with the rest of us? It is very rare to get to go in and see a picture like that of these people, and the fact that they were willing to do it was huge.
Well, I think they were just trying to hang on to whatever shred of dignity was left by maintaining their own personas and ignoring their surroundings as if nothing had changed. And that was the only thing they truly knew, and the only way that, in any case, the only way the public ever knows that something is wrong is not necessarily from the surroundings, but the way you behave.
Oh, yeah.
So if they felt like, everything was going to squander, if they maintained an attitude as if nothing was wrong, then nothing was wrong.
I don't disagree.
Like it was almost like them playing a game on the public, even though technically they were just playing the game on themselves, and everybody saw right through it. But it was the only way to keep
some semblance.
And I haven't seen it, but that's my analysis from what you're just
some semblance of Camelot, as it were.
Yeah,
I don't disagree, but I just,
like when the world falls apart around you, you lose your house, it goes into foreclosure. Whatever, if you're walking around with your head held low and you're crying and constantly in agony, and people are like, what's wrong, what's going on, and you divulge, right, then everybody knows the truth about what's going on. Now that lends itself to actually having people who want to help you. But on the flip side of that, if your house is going into foreclosure and it's taken away from you, and you pack your bags and you're like, I'm done with this place never served me, and I'm better than this, and I'm going off, and I'm taking my Louis Vuitton bags with me, then nobody truly knows the peril that you are in. They're assuming something completely different than what actually transpired. So it's all in the attitude of
faking it.
Fake it till you make it.
But they weren't, here's the thing though.
And they probably could have gotten help had they.
Oh, Jackie Onassis paid to have, it was in the newspaper and everything. She paid to have the whole place redone. Oh. And still somehow it ended up going into, and of course they've both passed now. But I really admired the way that I don't think that they were faking it. I think that they really, in their minds, because if you're insane, are you really faking it?
No.
And are they really insane? Is that really insanity?
But that's what I mean. If you grow up privileged in that situation, it's taken away from you, and you know nothing else, and you don't want people to know that it's been taken away from you, you just maintain.
You maintain there were flies in the shot. Flies, Lucy. Flies.
That's brilliant.
Flying around from all the cats around. Some of the cats had one eye.
I feel like that show, Another Period, took example from the show you're talking about, and when they did the parody.
It was very popular, Grey Gardens, a few years ago.
Okay.
Very cults visited kind
You
of
haven't
a thing.
seen Another Period, have you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Gotta
watch it. It's hilarious. It's a parody.
Is it that vampire one?
No. It's very much like what you're talking about. It takes place in the 1800s. and they come from a very wealthy family who have lost all their money, but they're trying to maintain, and the house is falling apart and the wife is falling apart. She's now on opioids. The daughters are spoiled to no end and put on riches and airs to try and get a guy as much as possible. And one of the daughters is in love with her brother.
Okay.
It's a wonderfully amusing show. I love it.
All right.
But I feel like everything you're telling me, I'm like, oh, that sounds like they took that story and did a spoof off of it.
Oh, we need to watch it together. I wanted you to see Edie's dancing. She would get batons. I mean,
sure.
This woman
this sounds like my experience with Spaceballs. Like I saw Spaceballs first and didn't know. Look, I'm not from America, okay? I saw Spaceballs first. I loved the movie. I had no idea it was a spoof on Star Wars, which I didn't see until 14 years later.
That's just sad.
And I thought it was one of the worst movies ever because I was so in love with Spaceballs, and I just thought it didn't own up to the comedy of Spaceballs.
Well, it wasn't actually supposed to be a comedy.
I know it's not supposed. Like as an adult, I realized the error of my ways. But as a child, you go, okay, that was like one of my favorite movies, and then I realized it was a spoof, and it didn't make me love it any less. It just didn't make me really love the original.
It makes me really sad for you, actually, because
this might be the same situation because I really love Another Period. Now you're going to make me watch the original.
I was a Star Wars girl. I just can't imagine not having Star Wars. But
I didn't know about Mel Brooks. I didn't know that he put out all these things, these little parodies to make you laugh. I just watched History of the World Part 2 for the first time. That just came out. It's been how many years since History of the World Part 1? It's like 40 years. Yeah.
Did you like it?
I thought it was hilarious. But I didn't like the first one because it wasn't relevant to my era and me, whereas this one is relevant to my era, so I find it amusing.
I see. Well, there are times that you can't. You're caught. You're caught in life, and there's no getting out. It's right there. And how do you make the best of it? For example, when I was a child, I made some very unusual decisions. And one day I was at my friend's house. I was about, 7. Let's go with 7, 8 years old tops. And she had this jewelry box full of what I considered to be pure pirate treasure. Oh yeah. Treasure. Just rings and bracelets and, more stuff than I ever had. And I thought, well, she wouldn't even notice if any of that was missing.
Oh.
No, it was not that I was raised to be a kleptomaniac. It's just that I thought she had too much. And
you were going to help her.
Yeah, I was going to help her to share.
Yeah.
I was going to help her to share and show the goodies. So I took some. Now, what makes me even more unusual is that for some reason I thought that I could put on the rings. I thought I could wear them to school. We were in the same class. And I thought she wouldn't notice. Because in my mind, she had too much. She'd already forgotten about them.
Yeah.
Of
course.
She
counted her treasures every day. You didn't know.
She did not count the treasures, but she did notice that I was wearing the rings.
Sarah, you just came out my stuff and
Which, of course, she was justified to do. And I'm like, they are not. They're mine. I actually said that shit, and I believed it, and I wasn't backing down.
Yeah.
It was horrifying when I look back on it. And then she kept on at me about it, and I said, fine, no one gets to have them. And I yanked them off my hands, and I threw them into the playground.
What is wrong with you?
Such a shining moment in my life, and I choose to share it with all y'all. My point in bringing...
Where are the comments? I want to hear the comments on that one.
my point in bringing that one up, though, is how in our minds, and I was just a child, imagine what you can do with this with the influence of a little bit of drugs or something later, the things that you work up that you think that you should be able to get away with. What was I thinking? If she were here now, I haven't stolen anything since. See these are my rings, but I opted to pay for these ones. I'm just saying you can be a rotten little shit too, and you don't necessarily
I'm just making
have
sure.
to. Yeah, okay, yeah. Very wise.
This one's mine, and this one's mine. And
yeah, well, maybe I'll return them. People go through their lives creating their own. They tweak their reality. We start this very young. And then you get busted all the time. I was living in Hawaii at the time, And I want to know what you would have done in this situation. So I realize you don't have kids, but that's not the point in this story. So I'm at Costco. The reason I'm at Costco is my son had just fallen and gotten a nice scrape above his eyebrow here, and we thought we better go get a first aid kit, which we did not have, and find a butterfly clamp.
And you didn't think to go to CVS or Rite Aid. You went to Costco.
Well, I went to Costco because that's where they had the big bottles of Malibu. Now, I have the first aid kit, because if you're going to go out and get a first aid kit, you should go.
I'm on board.
You should get everything in the same stop at the best price. And we thought that Costco would have a better first aid kit too.
Sure you did.
So we go.
It's all about the Malibu.
Actually, I go. And yeah, so I have the first aid kit in the cart, okay? Then I had just found the Malibu. I think I might have even gotten 2 of them. And it's a huge bottle of the big-ass Malibus. And then I'm coming around the corner, and who do I run into but my son's preschool Catholic teacher at his Catholic preschool. And she's right there. There's no getting out of it. And all she sees in my cart are 2 giant-ass bottles of alcohol and a first aid kit. What would you have said, Lucy, to your Catholic son's preschool teacher?
I would have said, look, I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The kid fell. It needs to be, I need to put alcohol on it, and then I need to put a Band-Aid on it, and I'm figuring I need a drink afterwards.
I don't remember if I said all that.
Look, she would have fucking laughed.
I think then my son shows up to her class the next day with the butterfly clamp and the cut. So I'm wondering if she ever wondered, and she never asked me. I mean, I think we were the family there to just be really enjoyed, because, when you have kids, there's this time before they can read. And we had made Christmas cards to go out to everybody. Did I already tell you this?
No.
And there was just one that said, Merry fucking Christmas. And I wanted to send
and you
that.
Send it to her?
And, well, no, my daughter wanted to bring a picture of her family. And that's the one that she grabbed. I didn't know this. There's only one, and she can't read, so she doesn't know the difference. All I know is I went to pick her up at the same preschool that day, and in her cubby, right there on top, Merry fucking Christmas.
Oh, no.
From our family.
Aw.
I find my point in all of these stories, when I'm busted. Like, I do stuff so stupid, or it's done through Offspring or through something else, that the situation that the universe hands me, there's no covering up there's no covering up the idiocracy. I can't.
Like you peeing in the back seat of your son's car?
Can't backpedal. Now, that one was a strategic move to save time, and I will stand firm.
Sorry, it's my favorite story.
I will stand firm in that one.
I still want him in the studio. I want to question him about his experience on that end.
Oh, Lord. If you can get him in here.
I think that'd be
if
hilarious.
You can get him in
I
here.
bet his story is completely different.
Well, I like mine. The one about saving time, people. If you're, probably a lot of people don't know about this. Brief story. If you're on a long stretch of highway and the bathrooms could be housing all kinds of hobos and God knows what else.
Pull over to the side of the road and use the door as your guide.
Or you don't even have to do that. Let the driver keep on driving. Let the driver keep on driving. Tell them what the speed limit is and make sure they do that, is the moral of that story. Make sure you know what the speed limit is. Let's stick with it. And that's what I
think
have
the
to
moral
say.
of the story is, don't make your son so nervous by your mom peeing in the back seat of the car to make him pay attention to the foot getting heavier on the pedal. Like, you guys could have pulled over and you could have checked the tire pressure in the rear back tire and squatted and done your business.
But the whole point, you're missing the point. The whole point is to not have to stop. There could have been vermin in the desert. There could have. Oh, and by the way,
if it
this
was a husband or a boyfriend, like, I could still, like, yeah, I get it. But it was your son.
Everybody acts like I went and just did this right in front of him. I was in the back seat with the sun shield up.
No, I know. I know the story.
There was complete privacy. So
if he was not nervous about the complete privacy and what was actually going on and his mind going crazy with the imagination that was circulating, he would not have been speeding to be pulled over.
Do you even think that that's the worst thing that's ever happened to him? I raised this child.
I just think it's hilarious.
It's not even probably on his list of the most traumatizing things that happened to him in his experience.
Now I really want to know.
Well, you can corner him and get him in here. Moving on. Now I have to find the. I had
Castle HOA, COA.
I had so many notes on that one. But now I'm discovering it's the kind of thing you have to watch that. You have to watch
it's okay.
the movie. You
I
know?
think you've inspired people to pull it up.
Grey Gardens, people. These
It
were
sounds
some
amusing.
eccentric
I'm
women.
now wanting to watch it.
So, as you know, I comb the internets for interesting tidbits. There is stuff out there that I just wasn't aware were problems. Now,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. You just said comb.
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 Yeah.
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 Sorry, it was a Mel Brooks line in Spaceballs. They're going to comb the desert with a big old comb.
Oh.
And they comb the
good.
desert.
I do not do the Mel Brooks. Now you made me forget the topic.
I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
shit.
Check your phone again.
I don't even know if I was on the right spot. Oh, so the new topic that I discovered, and it's not that it's a new topic, again, it's new to me, so then it's new, is the way that life coaching has gotten out of control. And evidently, many people fancy themselves a life coach. It's not a regulated kind of
we talked
of a
about
situation.
that a couple of shows ago. Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that people were getting completely ripped off by these people.
Oh, yeah.
I had no. Did we talk about that?
No.
Because, okay, that's the part that was new to me.
What
That-
we were talking about was entertainers who weren't working full time or needed a life change and decided to all go into life coaching when they're already messed up to begin with. I love people that are completely messed up in life, trying to make their way through life, going through all sorts of hurdles, and they decide that they need life coaching, but instead of going to get counseling for themselves, they decide to just go ahead and skip the whole process and go enroll to become a life coach. And then not only are they getting therapy for themselves, but now they have a certification that they can walk around with in 4 months and help other entertainers with. Like, it's mind-boggling to me that they feel that they are qualified.
Because nobody's regulating this. Nobody cares.
Well, nobody regulates essential oils either, but come on.
Doesn't someone, or at least with that stuff, you could take it to a lab and see what was really in it, if you were so inspired.
But in Europe, it's considered medicine, and it's regulated by the medical world. Like, you can't just walk into Walmart and get essential oils. Like, you have to go to an actual pharmacy and have the pharmacist hand it over to you. Like, you don't, it's medicine. Whereas here it's like, oh yeah, here, drink this. Let's put it in your water. Here, let's put it on your skin and not worry about the rash that's popping up. Like, it just...
It'll go away. No, don't worry about the green.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the peeling.
Oh, don't worry. That burn will go away in 3 or 4 days.
Suck it up. Suck it up. Your skin's going to look fabulous. But what really got to me, though, is when did we become... And this is people of all ages, so we can't even say that this is just for the young people who have no experience in life. Actually, most of them can't afford any of the life coaches. When did we become a society that needed a fucking coach to take you by the hand and lead you to places that you're just giving somebody a lot of money for common sense? When
Here's
did this
the thing.
happen?
Common sense is not so common.
I've heard that one.
That's a huge thing, and it is very, very, very real. Like,
You sound like you have experience, Liz.
I have a lot of experience with, like, common sense. I feel comes pretty naturally to me, but there are a lot of people in my inner circle that common sense, like, I have to explain it, and then they go, oh, okay, yeah, no, I can see that. I'm like, it's common sense. Like, how did you not see that before I had 10 minutes to explain it to you? So, yeah,
this is happening with us right now, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
I'm feeling a vibe.
I don't know. There's a small group of people within my inner circle that actually have common sense. Everybody else, like, it takes a minute, and they feel like they do need somebody who's already gone through something similar to guide them through it. Which is not to say that that's the same thing as, like, not knowing how to do something. Like, for example, getting a hospital bill and negotiating it down. Do you know you could do that? Like, I'm using that because that's in my life right now. So you get a hospital bill that's like $20,000 for 1 day visit. Did you know you could negotiate that down? Well, it's a process, people. And if you've never done it before, there are a lot of places to go to look for it. But if you have a friend that can coach you through it, who's already done it, that's a lot easier. That is not the same as a life coach.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I was learning here today is that life coaching is too.
Are you going to be a life coach now?
Hell no. It's too obscure. But like, for example, dating coaches, business coaches, if you're more of a specific coach, that is not what I am talking about here. But the whole ambiguous life coach thing, they are the ones that, well, it's sort of like people who can read tarot cards and all of that spiritual energy stuff. There are people who do that really well. And the ones who don't are the ones that screw it up for everyone else. And I wasn't aware of it going on in the life coaching community because I've been more in the dating coach community. And these people, I'm like, what is it that you are getting? So they showed examples. They showed examples of what a typical life coaching session would go like, what it looked like with this particular YouTube clip. And the woman fancies herself a life coach, and she says to her client, I guess, so what are your goals? And the woman's like, well, I'm thinking of going into a new career field now. I think I would just like to switch it up. Okay, well, what is it that you would like to be doing? And so on. And so, there was no coaching. It was just a conversation that went absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Kind of like this one, but at least I'm not charging you for it. Okay? At least everybody, I mean, this is Hose on Air. Come on. But what's new to me here is that there are people paying for this.
Yeah, good money for,
and I didn't know that you could get away with that.
Well, I think what it comes down to is like if you're a coach of any kind, if you're a vocal coach, you have your shit down and you have something to teach people.
Specifics.
And you take what they are doing wrong and modify their behavior so that they're doing it correctly. So if you're singing a wrong note, they're going to teach you how to sing it correctly. If you are a business coach, you have been in business for years and you have done multiple different businesses, and you can coach somebody to not only set up their business but avoid the pitfalls of business. I don't know anybody in the world that has mastered life to be qualified to be a life coach. Like, they have it all figured out and they can sit there and listen to you and go, okay, I know what's wrong, honey. I know what's wrong. Let's do this, try this, go do this. It'll all fix itself. Like, that just, it doesn't happen. So all they can do is encourage and enhance what you already know you're going to be doing.
And then the bottom line there is, get some friends. Get some friends, people, some genuine friends. So that is where this led me. Then I have discovered, I thought that it was just a select, few group, like, I don't know, young people have told me, more young people have told me recently that they have found it difficult to make friends. So it turns out that a lot of these life coaches that suck are getting their business from people who have no friends. Therefore, nobody to bounce anything off of.
So
nobody
they're just
to
paying to have a friend.
Kind of to have a
bot friend.
Yeah. Which...
That's sad.
And
why not just call it friend?
Well, because
hire a friend.
Because you got to pay them.
Hire a friend.
Hire a friend.
Hire a hoe. Hose on Air is available for hire, people.
Hose on Air already.
We don't have anything figured out.
Nothing.
But we're highly opinionated.
Friends. We have friends to friendship.
We'll pour you a drink.
Yes.
Make
cocktails,
life better.
Friends. Shit. I'm just saying that I wasn't aware that people aren't able to make friends. Now, I would understand if it were just the younger generation, but then you know how you go down the rabbit hole on the YouTubes, and it was like people your age, my age, all the way on up, still deciding. Like the oldest people in this, they were saying they couldn't make any new friends because they would have different points of view on the way the world is run right now. And that ruins friendships. I'm like, okay, so
I don't know why that ruins friendships. That is not a reason to ruin friendships.
It's going
Just
on.
because you and I read the same book and you hated it and I loved it does not mean we can't be friends.
I don't know, different criteria in different generations. But what I'm wanting to know, and everybody wants to blame it on technology and not having to be face to face.
Well, that is a legitimate thing because, a lot of people find their value in how many friends they have on their social media pages.
Absolutely.
And I hate that they're called friends on these sites.
Yeah.
Because they're not your friends, people. These are not friends. People that surf the internet and degrade you on your posts or uplift you on your post about your kitty cat are not friends. They have nothing to truly contribute. Okay,
They have nothing to do.
These people don't know you. They only know what you put out there for them to know. So that's not you. That's the best version of you. You know.
Well
Or
said.
what you want to perceive yourself as to the public, and that's what they're taking. So I hate that they're called friends, because they're not. Nobody in their right mind has 1,600 friends on Facebook. They're
Nope.
not friends.
They are not. Preach, sister. You know, Luce, maybe you should be a life coach. Because
I've thought about it.
Right there.
I have life figured out.
Right there. Well, you have that figured out. I mean, there are people that truly think that they have admirers.
I'm going to start a new site. I'm going to call it Friend for Hire.
Well, what would you want to, since you just now said, I'm curious that you wouldn't want to call them friends, what should we call the people who glom on to each other? You know, like glommers?
That's a good word.
You know?
I like that word. You know, I haven't thought about it in that depth, but off the cuff, the immediate word that comes to mind is acquaintances.
Looky-loos.
But I mean, if you want to be truthful about it, all the people on your social media are acquaintances. If that, they're people you have met, somewhat know, or really know. They're acquaintances all across the board. The ones that are friends are the ones that know where you live, hang out at your house on the weekends, drive you to your doctor's appointments. Like, those are your friends. Right? I'm pretty sure your friend on Facebook that's from Milwaukee is not going to be taking you to your dentist appointment here in Las Vegas tomorrow. Like, just, you know, and that's not to discredit friends you had and now you've separated and you live in two different places. That's not what I'm talking about.
Well, I used to think, though, that...
Because, like, I grew up in California for the most part. I have a lot of California friends, you know, who, quite honestly, like, life becomes life and you not necessarily separate, but, you know, they're living their lives. They're all married and have kids. We've been to each other's weddings. I was not at baby showers. You know,
Thank God.
We've grown apart a bit, but if we ever got back together, it would be like no time had passed, right?
Yeah.
Because we know each other from childhood. We know each other's favorite colors. We know each other's favorite foods. We know, you know, the other person's pitfalls and
You know they suck. You know they suck.
They don't suck. Like, there are things, you know, that I suck at, and there's things I'm really good at. Same, like, I know
That's what
things
I
for
meant.
You, right?
You know what they suck at.
So friends know that about each other, and we can be there for each other. But I challenge anybody. I challenge anybody on Facebook to tell me all 1,600 or 2,000 or 5,000 of their so-called friends, all their pitfalls, all their contributions to life, all their good moments, all their birth dates and you know,
shit.
Without it being on their freaking profile.
Well, I was recently asked by a Generation Z youngster, you know, she was saying to me, I noticed that wherever you've been, you just seem to have friends, you know, wherever you go. How do you do that?
Yeah.
And she was serious.
Yeah.
And it didn't even, like, I had to actually, I'm like, what do you mean? How do I do that? How do you not do that? You go
You stay connected.
and you talk to people.
Yeah.
But she means even starting it up
Yeah.
is what she meant. How do you even get your foot in the door? And what she was trying to help me understand, I still don't understand it, but she's like, it's not like everybody's just open to that. It's not as easy as it used to be, you know, to just go up and you know.
Well, she does have a point, and I hate to say technology is a factor, but it kind of is. We hide behind this thing called a computer or a phone, where, again, we have a certain way that we want to be seen. You know, we want to be seen a certain way, not only physically, but we want to be seen a certain way energetically. Like, if we're into animals and we're saving animals, we're going to be posting pictures all about saving animals because we want people to think that that's us. That's who we are at our deepest core. If you are a girl or a guy that's using filters on your face and posting that nonstop, that is a direct translation of, I'm not confident in who I am. I'm not okay with this, but I'm okay with you thinking I look like this. Uh-huh. And so making friends on a physical platform where you're not hiding behind a social platform or a phone or, you know, your computer, where you can still use filters even in going live, you are essentially allowing yourself to be judged, to be vulnerable, to be perceived as something that you might not like. And all those things create a fear factor that a lot of people are not willing
You just
to open the
described
door
my
to.
life. Say those 3 things again. Say them again, Luce.
Okay, wait. It was, what did I say?
You said, I don't know, but it was really good. Do it again.
Oh my God. Aaron, were you listening? It was.
Is anyone listening?
No. What did I say?
Nobody. It was really good.
I don't know. Moving on.
You
Rewind the show, people.
that was really good because, well, let's see if I can tell you. It's horrifying. The idea of what you just said, that's going to just be the new scope for it. Just makes me wonder, is anybody in society ever, from Generation Zers up, going to learn how to appreciate each other? I just think it's part of the whole. I
think it comes down to, are they ever going to learn to be authentic to themselves? And I feel like, yes, they will, but it's going to take them a while, because we have to get through this artificial time in the world where everything is not as it seems. And once that is pushed out of the way and frowned and looked down upon, then we go back to what is real. So again, this goes back to the conversation we had a few episodes ago, where we're digressing back into history a little bit. We're losing the makeup, and we're losing women's rights, and we're losing all these things, segregation, and everything is coming back into play, because for some reason we feel like we worked toward all of this for hundreds of years, and now we get to discredit it all and bring it back to something else and go back into it. We're devolving.
Yeah. But I tell you what, people, even the Generation Zers.
But you kind of have to, in this situation, in this conversation, you have to devolve a little bit. You have to get off of this. You have to get off of the computer. You have to stop the filters. You have to stop this isn't who I am in authenticity, and go back to, this is me, bare bones, like it or not. I'm not perfect. These are my vulnerabilities. And then you get back to authentically having a circle, authentically having friends, because friends accept you, good and bad. They accept everything about you, and they try to work with you when you are in your most vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
You could, I know when I'm, at the bottom of the barrel, I can come to you and not be judged, and all you do is lift me back up to where I need to be. So there is a thing there that is missing. Like, I'm not walking around with this going, Sarah, I need help.
Well, here's the deal. Everybody is going to become old if you live long enough one day. And I would love to see when these Generation Z youngsters are in their retirement homes and you don't get an STD from using your phone to have all of the sex that apparently you have in the retirement homes.
I kind of hate to say it, but my gut instinct feels like they are going to be loners.
Oh, no. These people have to, well, unless things change in the next 80 years.
But you're talking about a generation of people. Like, I came in a generation where everything was evolving, so I had to evolve with it. Like, I started with phones attached to the wall with the long cords. There were no computers, to all of a sudden the first computer, which took up an entire room, to a computer that, we had our very first computer lab, which had the ... printer.
Oh yeah.
REM and the green screens, and Oregon Trail was like the big, huge freaking game in middle school that everybody was trying to play.
Have you ever taken a youngster to a payphone? They don't know what to do with the shit.
Well,
they don't know what to do.
Now you see payphone booths, but there's no payphones in it. Have you noticed that?
What do they do with the booth? No, I haven't noticed that.
Okay, so they've pulled out the phones in a lot of the phone booths. The phone booths are still there. And you have plugs. There's plugs with a credit card swiper. So you plug in your own phone and you swipe, and it allows you to call out emergency calls if you have no signal. Have you seen that?
No. Where are these?
Crazy.
Here in Vegas?
I haven't seen them in Vegas, but in a lot of the big cities I've seen them. Just as what happens when I'm on tour. But my point is that I come from a generation of evolution, and where friends were a physical thing, where TV was only on for so many hours a day, so your parents shoved you outside and went, go play, and they didn't care what the hell you were doing as long as you were back by dinner, and if you weren't, there was a search party. Okay. Yep. And then you got your ass whooped and you were grounded for 2 weeks.
After you spent the day doing Papa Wheelies on boards with rusted nails sticking out of them.
Yeah, and hanging out under the trees where all the cigarette butts were.
Oh, yeah. And you try to light them. And we'd start small fires and shit. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's that generation.
But you are the very last of that. You understand that.
I do understand. And that's, I think my point is that the generation after me and now this new generation is brought up from infancy staring at a screen.
This is true.
It's not about playing with other children. It's not about going outside to play. It's about, here's your iPad, here's your game, here's your movie. If you're with friends and you're in a car, it's the back seat of the headrest. There's
with
a movie.
Your movie.
Like it's constant non-personal interaction, and they grow up with that. So it makes sense that it's difficult to make friends because you're never brought up to actually make friends. Even in schools, like schools issue out laptops and iPads and electronics for kids to use while in school. And I don't even have children, and I know this. While they're in school, how damaging is that? I mean, I know they think they're helping, but how damaging is that? And then at the end of the day, now you're an adult. You have problems dating because you can't sit at a table and actually have a conversation with the person staring at you, if they're staring at you. I've seen people have dates where they text each other back and forth across the table.
You've seen this?
I've seen this.
Where?
So
I want to go.
So the idea of being vulnerable and interacting with an actual human being who might find fault with you, who might not like you.
Without a screen to run behind.
Exactly. Without constantly dishing out the persona that you want to be known for, is definitely a challenge. And if you are in that era and you end up growing into your 80s and 90s and in a retirement home, it makes sense logically. Common sense tells me that if you're brought up that way and you've now dated and had a life that way, that when you are in a retirement home, you're going to be a loner. You're going to be behind this because that's all you really know.
I don't know. They won't be able to see it anymore.
Oh, I mean, hello, look at how big TVs are now.
But
you'll
to be on their own. I don't know.
Well, I am open to suggestion, but that's what my gut tells me. And I'm not saying that is everybody. Like, I'm not saying that every person is going to be that way. I'm saying just like the majority of the era of the swingers in the retirement homes, that's not everybody, okay? But it is a good portion of that particular era of humankind. And
there it is.
It's humankind.
We're being chased off.
Hey,
do you see this? We're done. Hey, once again,
we're out of time.
On Hose on Air, us hoes, we have solved nothing. Thank you for being here with us, solving absolutely nothing today, people. We love you. Welcome,
Cheers.
Hose. Word.
Word.